Okay, we will continue. Alright, so we have done on this. Alright, so now we are going to name polyatomic ionic compound. Right. So compound form from polyatomic ions, so it can stay together as a charge unit. For example, like this, when we have one K plus balance to nitrate, NO3 minus, so we got K nitrate. So positive and minus, they cancel each other. It's okay, but if you have Na plus with carbonate 2 minus, so we know that we bring the 2 minus the 2 here and carbonate here, right? Okay, and then if we have calcium 2 plus, for example, and also nitrate, so basically calcium and nitrate 2 will be bring to here, okay, and nitrate have positive 1, so we bring here, so it's Ca and O3 2. Alright. Okay, so family of oxo anion. When we mention about oxo anion, is actually we mention about oxygen atoms. So all the series of anion that consists of oxygen atom, we call it as oxy anion. Alright, oxy anion. For example, this one. How we do name them, either ITE or ATE, we have to look at on this. Two anion in the family. If ion with more atoms, more oxygen atoms, so suffix must be ATE. If it has fewer oxygen atoms, so the suffix must be ended with ITE. Right, so look at this one. How we know that one is high, fewer or more? So you look at for nitrate and nitrate. So both group of nitrogen oxide, but one's having 2 oxygen and this one having 3 oxygen. So this one is lesser oxygen. So once it have lesser oxygen, we name it as nitrate, ITE suffix. When it has more oxygen, we put it as nitrate. Sulfate, sulfide, sulfate. So this is the same group. Alright, and then this is quite exceptional. So look at this one first. So this one lesser than this, so it's sulfide, ITE. Okay, when you have more oxygen here, so we name it as sulfate. But when you have S2 or 3,2 minus, so this is thiosulfate. This is a part of sulfate, but the name of the group is thiosulfate. You have to memorize the formula and also the charge. Okay. So next, if you have 4 or so anions in the family, usually like halogen bonded to the oxygen. So ion with most oxygen has prefix per and suffix 8. It's still 8, but it have per. Per here refer to 4. 4, yeah? Alright. If ion with 1 fewer oxygen, we have to put suffix 8. If you have 2 fewer oxygen, we put suffix ITE. If you have least oxygen, we put it hypo with the suffix ITE. So look at this one. So, for example, a group of chlorate. Okay, chlorate. They are all from ClO group. So look at this one. Which one have more oxygen? Of course, this one. Alright. So this one have 4 oxygen. We put per in front, and then 8 at the back, and the prefix is chlor. The name is chlor. Okay, perchlorate. We have 1 fewer oxygen. Okay, we have now 1 fewer oxygen from the original one, where we have oxygen is 3. So it's still named chlorate. There is no per in front. We have 2 fewer oxygen from the beginning, from 4 this chloride, ITE at the back. And then if we have oxygen, least oxygen, we call it as hyper with the suffix ITE, hyperchloride. Okay. Okay, so if you have hydrated ion compound that contain water molecule weakly bound in its crystal, hydrates here refer to the H2O. Okay, hydrate a specific number of water molecules. Number of water molecule is shown after a dot and it's named by a group number. Okay, before. Okay, if you have one compound of it of hydrate, we call it as mono. If you have 2, we call it di, tri, tetra, penta, hexa, hepta, octa, nona, and deca. I'm sure that you know already about this. Okay, so we go how to name our hydrate. Hydrate are named from the anhydrous compound followed by words hydrate with the prefix to indicate the number of water molecule per formula unit of the compound. Let's say you have this one, barium dichloride. Okay, barium chloride. You have 2 H2O. Okay, once you have dot here, please be aware that you have group of hydrate at the back. Okay, you have, this is the separator lah. Right, and then you have hydrate group at the back. So look at how many compound of hydrate you got. Okay, this is di because of we have 2 hydrogen, 2 H2O, so dihydrate. So just write barium chloride dihydrate. This one, lithium chloride monohydrate. If you don't have any, you have one. Okay, one of H2O, we call it as mono. If you have 7, that will be hepta. Okay, so magnesium sulfate heptahydrate. And if you have 4, strontium nitrate tetrahydrate. Alright. So this is the image of copper sulfate pentahydrate. 5 is penta, and then this is just copper sulfate. Their color are different, the structure are different. Basically, this is more pentagon structure that can be observed under the SEM. Alright. So some ionic compound with a polyatomic anion example, for example, we have this one, potassium sulfate, okay, iron 3 nitrate, magnesium sulfate, lithium bromate, and then we have cesium perchlorate because we have 4 here, and then we have NaOCl is sodium hypochlorate, and this is potassium dichromate. Alright, please memorize this. Okay. Next, how to naming rule for naming covalent compound. Covalent means that compound are formed between 2 nonmetal, both are nonmetal. First element in the formula is named first using the full element name, and second element it must have suffix of IDE if it is an ion. Okay, prefix used to denote number of atom. Prefix mono is never been used for naming the first one. Alright, look at this one. Prefix mono, di, same things, and then we have this one. Alright, so this is example of covalent compound. Both are non-metal. So you look at nitrogen and oxygen, when they combine together, they form covalent compound. So if you have 2 nitrogen, you name it as dinitrogen monoxide. Okay, oxygen just 1 compound, so oxide. Okay, IDE with the prefix suffix of IDE, and then we combine with mono, oxygen become monoxide. Nitrogen monoxide. So this is single. Okay, nitrogen dioxide. Ni dinitrogen trioxide. Dinitrogen tetraoxide. This is dinitrogen pentoxide. Okay. So if we have binary compounds, such a big compound, okay, we often, to avoid the awkward pronunciation, we often drop the O or A, just like just now, monoxide. We don't call it as monooxide. Okay, for example, this one, tetra phosphorus, pen is deca, oxygen is oxide. We don't call it as deca oxide, we call it as decoxide. We drop one of the O. Okay, tetra phosphorus decoxide. So this one, dinitrogen tetraoxide or tetroxide. Okay, right. Okay, right. So this is a practical question. Please write the chemical formula for the substance given. Right, you have 16 of them. The answer is there, you can check. Right, so next, how to naming acid and base. Acid is substance that yield hydrogen H+ when dissolved in water. Formula for acid normally contain 1 or more hydrogen atom as well as ionic group. Okay, so it depends on whether the anion contain oxygen or not. Okay, let's look at this one. If the anion of the acid does not contain oxygen, okay, the acid name with the prefix hydro and the suffix will be IC. So look at this one. There is no oxygen here. With the fluorine or fluoride. Fluoride. If you put H here, there is no oxygen between it, so it becomes hydro in the as the H, and then fluoric acid. So that's why it's ended with suffix -id. Okay, acid, fluoric, IC, and then acid. Okay, Cl, chloride. So when we combine with hydrogen, it becomes acid, become hydrofluoric acid. This is hydrobromic acid, hydroiodic acid, hydrocyanic acid, and this is hydrosulfonic acid. Okay. Okay, now if we have an ion contain oxygen, the acidic name is formed from the root name of the anion with the suffix -ic or OUS, depending on the name of the anion. If the anion F ending ITE, the ITE is replaced by OS. Okay, look at sulfide. Sulfide ITE will be replaced by OUS. Okay, so it becomes sulfurous when we put acid here. Sulfurous acid. Chloride ITE will become chlorous acid. Okay, hypochlorite. Okay, so now hypochlorite, when you put hydrogen inside, so it becomes hypochlorous acid. Okay, and then if you have nitrite, you put hydrogen, become acid, so it becomes nitrous acid. Okay. Okay, this is if the anion ends with ATE and suffix IC is added to the root name. For example, sulfate will become sulfuric acid. Perchlorate will become perchloric acid. Chlorate will become chloric acid. Nitrate will become nitric acid, and then phosphate will become phosphoric acid. Acetate, acetic acid, and then carbonate will become carbonic acid. Okay. So conclusion, if an ion ending with IDE in acid will replace with hydro IC, hydro IC, and then for example hydrochloric acid, hydrobromic acid. Okay, if it ended with ITE, it changed into OUS acid, like nitrous acid, chlorous acid, hypobromous acid. If you have ATE, change into IC only. Sulfuric acid, nitric acid, and also chloric acid. For base, how to name base? Base substance that yield of hydrogen oxide, hydroxide ion like OH when it dissolves in water. For example, a base is composed of metal and an OH ion except for ammonia. Okay, look at this one. Cut line, name the metal and add with hydroxide. Oxidation number with the value more than 1 should be written in parentheses after the metal name. Okay, look at this one. KOH, potassium hydroxide. Okay, everyone knows that. But if you have iron and then you have hydroxide, you have 2. We name it how? Iron 2 hydroxide. Okay, aluminium 3 hydroxide. Silver hydroxide. Okay, so base is much more simple. So learning objective, alright, we have learned and named simple organic compound, simple binary covalent compound, simple acid, base, and hydrate. Okay, next is to determine the empirical formula and stoichiometry problem. Okay, we will continue with the next video.